Welcome to World Cinema Reviews. This is your host, Frank the Vamp, and tonight we're continuing our analyzing the franchise from Child's Play. This time we're in part three, and yeah, it's this has been a video that I have been dreading because this is the Child's Play, which may be considered by most to be the worst one. Um, it's didn't do that well at the box office. In fact, along with Cito Chucky, which we'll talk about later, it's one of the most hated ones on the franchise by fans by far. And to make matters worse, there's even in the United Kingdom there was a murder of a British child that this movie, allegedly had inspired, which was rejected by officers that investigated this particular case, which we're not going to talk about, of course, but it kind of puts a very dark, gloomy, cloud over the film. About this movie being that bad, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I don't agree. I still think that um, this is a Chucky film. It's to be honest, it's not my favorite one. But and it does have some flaws, but it's not as bad as some people say. I mean, some people say like it's really really bad, and I just don't agree with that because it still has a lot of good things. And we're gonna talk about the good, the bad, and some of the bad talk that this movie has. Some of this, but anyhow, this was made in 1991, and it was directed by Jack Bender. Still being written by Don Mancini. This time starring Justin Whalen and Perry Reeves, and of course the awesome Brad Dourif comes back to reprise his role as the voice of Chucky. Um, we'll talk about the plot, and then we want to tell you my feelings on the film. Well, basically, even though it's not that much, it's just been a few years from the previous installment. The writers, decided to forward the story 8 years into the future, and Andy's no longer a child; he's a teenager, and he's due to, as we know. By the way, spoilers. There may be some spoilers in this video. I'll put it on the description. Andy has had a pretty rough childhood. After the first two times he has survived Chucky, he has not taken it well, and he has been pretty much being shipped from foster parent to institution. So he's kind of a not so well adjusted child, and this time he's been shipped to military school. In the meantime, the company that produces the Good Guy dolls, has decided to revamp it, reopen the old abandoned factory, and of course, as bad luck has it for poor Andy, Chucky gets basically, his destroyed, body. What's less of it anyway is being grabbed and kind of remade into. By the way, in a kind of cool opening sequence, anyway, is made into a good guy doll again, and similar to part two, but a little bit different, a little bit more elaborate, I would say. And afterwards, after Chucky, becomes self-aware and it's alive, he needs to he wants to get payback for Andy wants to kill him and take over, well, basically take over his body. But then when he gets to the military school where Andy is it's attending, basically a little boy grabs him first, and then um, he realizes that he revealed himself to him, and then therefore it's no longer Andy the one he needs to kill is this little boy. But Andy does become aware of it and tries to help him, and tries to save him. And Chucky still wants to take over this new boy's soul. I mean body and soul, whatever and also wants to kill Andy. Um, First of all, let's talk about a couple of the casting choices here. First of all, we got you know Justin Justin Whalen. He's taken over for Alex Vincent as Andy Barkley. Why? Well, because of the story. Got further. So I think that well, I'll talk about it a little bit more later. But I think that may have somewhat affect some people because they were used to see the continuity of seeing Alex Vincent, and now there's this new kid. But by the way, he does fine, and he's one of the. In fact, I think that he's one of the strengths of the film. Um, I think he's quite does his job quite well. Let's talk about what I like about this film. First of all, I think that you know, first of all, setting the film in a military school was pretty cool because we didn't see that before. It's kind of a cool thing. I think that during those scenes, there's some. In fact, there's a couple of send off to Full Metal Jacket there. If you catch them, kind of cool. Kind of being a couple of winks to Stanley Kubrick there. I I I like Chucky. Having fun. Switching. The paintball to live rounds, and so I thought it was cool. Plus, you could see a different side of Andy. As Andy has grown up, Andy having a relationship. Andy just dealing with his fucked up world pretty much because Chucky has fucked him over pretty bad. And he's still dealing. He's still hanging in there, and I like the new kid. That he's so innocent and awesome, but he wants to still be a soldier. And also the other Brad Dourif doesn't miss a beat, just perfect as Chucky, just getting stronger. um, the other cool thing is that the there's a lot more people that become aware of Chucky, and they don't take it well. I mean, very good acting when they find out what it is, because remember, I mean, there's no. How would you feel if you see a freaking talking doll just walking around and you pretty much freak out, and they do act like it? So I think this film has some good acting, good character development, good scary moments, a couple of stylish killings, including a heart attack one, which Chucky really laments because he really wanted to off him a different way, and some dark humor, the what which it's gonna follow into the series. So with a pretty cool ending, may I say, I did like the Green Reaper ripping apart Chucky's face at the end, which will play a part into the series as well, and then the fan thing, and pretty much the ending takes place on Hell, and I read somewhere on the internet that some people, some of the writers thought that this was it. This was gonna how the series ended, and it was. I think it was a brave effort, and certainly not worthy of the comments that are said. Now let's talk about the negatives. There's there's a couple of jokes that don't work. Like I saw myself, like I thought I really watched it again and analyzed it, and I saw that there's a couple of really awkward, dumb jokes that don't work. There's a couple of bad puns, and usually Chucky's pretty spot on, but not in this one. It's not Brad Dourif's fault. He does it great, but he's just reading the lines he's been told to read. Um, Another thing that I think that is not really, working as well is the fact that Alex Benson was removed. I said that the I do like the new actor, and I think that he played Andy pretty well. It's just that it just people just wanted to see Alex Benson, which I thought he was a fine actor. So even though I like the choice, I can see how people wouldn't like it without him. Perhaps they could have done a little bit rewrite here, and there was no need why to make it so far. He still could have been. They still could have written a different story, but you know what? It I mean, if it comes to push, I thought that they still made a good choice by writing it. So definitely, like I said, is I mean, if you are a fan of Chucky, oh yeah, one more thing. I actually did not care about the special effects as much. I thought they kind of went backwards a little. I did see that a couple of I don't know. I think it's help me out if you guys know about it. But the doll design and a couple of things, was not as good as part one and two. Were a couple of places where, it looked not as sharp, as good. There were some small changes to the actual doll design that I noticed that I just did not like, or perhaps I'm imagining things, but I'm pretty sure that they did a couple of new things with the makeup and the animatronic and the thing that didn't seem as real as it did before. Because I really bought part one and two. Okay, having said that, the this movie has strong acting, has some cool grisly killings, has a darker tone than the part one and two in some ways, and a lighter tone in some others with a bad pun humor that sometimes it doesn't quite fit the character, but I thought it was pretty adequate. So in all, it's still a good Chucky film. I give this a B minus to C plus. I still watch this film and I enjoy it. Even today, like I said, I just watched it a little bit before so I can make the video and be fresh on my mind of what it was. Yes, I mean, I'll admit it. I mean, in fact, to me, this is the least one of my least favorite of the series, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. I love old Chucky movies. No, don't you? I mean, every film, even though they may be flawed a little, this one does have some flaws, but they're not major. It's nothing that I can live with, So I still consider this a solid B minus to me. C plus, if you take into account a couple of the things that happen. But overall, a solid film, good horror film. Hey, Chucky firing a gun, man, and being a total soldier, there's a couple of pretty raw scenes with children in peril, and still a pretty scary film, especially towards the end, So yeah, definitely I would recommend, Child's Play 3, and from this film, it did so bad that it took what 7 years until the creators would try to make another one, and there will be a huge twist from that coming up. That some people like, and some people completely hate it. Especially with Cedar Chucky. But we'll talk about that later. As far as this video, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, watch Child's Play 3. Leave comments if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you haven't watched it. Like I said, more than welcome to. I think you'll enjoy it. And if you differ from my opinion, that's completely cool. But let me know why. I want to know about it. Write your comments, and definitely subscribe. Like I said, I want to always thank people who have been lately subscribing to me. And makes me so happy. I'm so pumped up that more and more people like to watch little old me. So awesome. So my friends, subscribe, take it easy, be well, and see you next video. And like Chucky says, wanna play? And I really like that phrase. Take care. See you guys. This is Frank the Band signing off. Till next time.